Hello, my name is John Svek. Welcome to ALL24. We're going to do another edition of our One Clip Series with Coach Waterman and I. And we have a very special guest here today, Coach Steve Snyder, head coach of Queen's University. How you doing, Coach?
Very good, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
So if you've seen this before, Coach Waterman and I will pick a random play. We're selecting a play from this year's Vanier Cup, and none of us have seen it or prepared for it. So we'll pick a random play and see what we can see on the breakdown. So, Coach, if you would do the honors. Tell me when to stop.
Stop.
All right, let's see what we got here. I'll get it as big as we can. So I'll set it up, Coach Snyder, and we'll give you first crack at it. So we have a 1st and 10 here. We have Montreal on offense. On the right hash, I'm seeing a quads formation with a tight end or a nub to that boundary side. What are some of your initial thoughts when you look at this play as we have it set up?
Yeah, so first of all, it's like a true unbalanced formation that goes into the principle of creating some type of defensive response for it. So now, typically with a 4-line formation to the field, it creates or asks for a response from the boundary halfback. So now you can start to predicate concepts and play calls based on that response, you know. So I'm not sure where we're at here. It looks like they've rolled that halfback over to the field. And now the corner is a stay player, possibly playing the E-gap. Is that what it looks like in the boundary there?
Okay, we'll let it run here a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like they've got the corner on the backside over the just outside the linebacker. I mean, outside the offensive extra fullback or tight end.
And they're going to bring that number 4 across. Yeah, what do you coaches seeing? That number 4 is coming across there on the slice, and we get the handoff on the run play.
Yeah, so the big thing that it kind of looks like they might be trying to do there is the player there on the defense, it looks like kind of the Sam player pointing early pre-snap. He has to be kind of out on number 4. So the true kind of box count is the 4 down, and then the player on the hash, the player just outside of that nub, and then the let's say the defensive back player playing the D gap. So they're able to even possibly, it looks like initially they try to take an angle to scoop that Sam player with the number 3 receiver as the number 4 adds back in, which is pretty good stuff because you can try to get that Sam extended to an extent and then add back in off the down player from him, scoop with the next player outside, which is a concept that we try to use. Those types of concepts we try to use, you know, to try to get numbers and cover people up in the run game.
And I'd add, what's really interesting, and Steve, you mentioned this, is that by formation, they really forced the Calgary to make a decision in how they're going to align by having the nub to the boundary side and having quads. It looks like, as you mentioned, either they spun the free safety down and rotated the halfback high. I'm not sure of the numbers, or the halfbacks couldn't travel all the way over and left the corner to the backside. Well, once they see that body type on the backside, now they're coming back with the tight end there plus an add-in. And now your corner is forced to come in and have to take on a block, which may be a position he's not that comfortable doing or taking on. And, so it's really something that's very interesting in terms of just getting body types on different body types.
Yeah, so the add-in block too from the 4 strong player, this is something we try to do a lot. And it looks like it's a bigger body there. It looks like it's true hybrid player, like an H-back style player. But you can do that stuff with a receiver body. And when you drill that technique and you coach that technique enough, he has a great leverage point, and he has a great angle of departure. And if he understands the leverage that he's supposed to keep and he takes a good angle and he trusts himself enough to go into the contact and trust the technique of, the leverage and the style of kick-out block, which in this case, we would talk about a block right, hit right. It's like a right shoulder block. Then you just go in there and bring it. And you don't need to, necessarily be incredibly dominant with that block. You just need to keep the leverage, and stay attached to the defender. And that's what happens. You see the ball inserts right inside of that kick-out block. Now, in this case, the kick-out block is coming on a defensive back that does a good job coming downhill to force the play and taking it on. But at the same time, it's kind of not typically his world to be like a hard run gap fitter, which is what this, I've used this formation in the past, this 41 tight, which is good because you do create some situations for the defensive personnel where they're not necessarily in their home position or they're doing things that they might be asked to do less than 5% of the season. and execute skills that are not in their kind of 90% world. And that's, I think there's some value in doing that, you know, as long as you're able to keep that simple for your offense as well. But anytime you can take their home position and get them to perform tasks that they probably haven't repped a lot or had a lot of experience or have the body type to be physically dominant in, it's a good thing for the offense. That's where matchups come from.
I'll just add here before we'll get to the tight view in a second. I'm just watching the way, like you said, that DB is maybe out of his normal position. It almost feels like his two help players are almost expecting him to spill it. And I don't knowing nothing about the play here, just seeing the way those two help players are working to the outside and then the ball bounces up. I just wonder if there's a miscommunication there or not.
It's a good point. Yeah.
And John, you mentioned that. Yeah. And I think, you know, that's, you know, one of the advantages of having different people having to play a spot they're not that comfortable with. Maybe the rules are spill in this particular example, but he has only done it, as Steve mentioned, 5% of the time.
Right.
Now he's got to bring it all together under a stressful situation. And if he makes a mistake, now you get multiple guys caught in the wrong gap, leaving a seam.
John, can you run that back to the wide just for
2
seconds there? Yeah. So one thing that I believe that's critical for a defensive play is to be decisive on the edge, because when you become indecisive and you get into gray area, it can really help. It can hurt the second level, the fitter that has to fit off that edge. It puts him into a situation where he's, you know, not decisive and he may be trying to cover up for something. So if the edge player isn't as dominant but's decisive, now sometimes the secondary fitter can be more dominant because he can play decisive off it. And that's exactly what it looks like. Maybe is, hey, I'm supposed to spill. Wait, I'm not sure. Now gray area, and I play with bad technique, you know, and put myself into a situation where I'm exposed. And now my second level player is just in no man's land.
Right.
And you'd like to see a more decisive set the edge there. That allows the, you know, obviously, like I said, the next player to fit off it a little bit better. The other thing it does is it looks like now the free hitter is the safety coming down, and he's kind of a late fitter. And offensively, you'll take that. You know, you want to make the free hitter as soft and as far away from the point of attack as possible. In this case, he's got a good angle at the point of attack, but he's coming from such depth. And the other thing it does with this formation and this kind of sub motion where the player comes under the zone play or under the line of scrimmage, when you talk about rotations and tracks from the defenses, sometimes you can actually create a rotation that'll leave the defense with no middle of the field pass coverage. And it's not necessarily like a cover zero pressure scheme where they're able to get to the quarterback, but you're able to utilize formation and motion to create a rotation that creates a cover zero. And you can only imagine if, you know, the number 3 or number 2 right now was on a post and this was a play action.
And I just wanted to add, just to be fair, I guess, to sometimes we watch these films and you're looking at the defensive players and we're talking about the fit, and, you know, we don't actually know what.
We don't know who's right and who's wrong.
We're just trying to do our best and sort
yeah.
of, so maybe the other guys are wrong and he's right, but let's just be fair to the player. But the whole purpose is we know that they're not, whatever's happening, it's not in coordination with the other.
They're not working together, right? That's right.
And with that being said, it's well defended in the sense that there is a replacement and a fitter coming down. It's not like they're oblivious to anything. Calgary's doing a good job of getting numbers back at the point of attack. You can see all the white jerseys. I mean, that free hitter coming downhill is in a position to make that play, and then just kind of takes himself out of position with his ankle.
Right.
And again, because of the way he's fitting outside.
Great. Again, so we saw an example.
That's good. I love it. Yeah.
Example of some formation, getting some advantages, and just a good football play there. So that's it's been an all 24 one clip.